The eternal quest of human beings is to shatter his loneliness. I used to think that the worst thing in life was to end up alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is to end up with people who make you feel alone. Loneliness and the feeling of being unwanted is the most terrible poverty. The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. I'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who don't value me. It's better to be unhappy alone than unhappy with someone. Loneliness is and always has been the central and inevitable experience of every man. Loneliness adds beauty to life. It puts a special burn on sunsets and makes night air smell better. Solitude is often the best company, and a clear conscience the best companion. The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. Sometimes you need to be alone in order to reflect on life and enjoy your own company. I don't want to be alone. I want to be left alone. Loneliness and the feeling of being unwanted is the most terrible poverty. I like being alone. I have control over my own shit. Therefore, in order to win me over, your presence has to feel better than my solitude. Loneliness is the poverty of self. Solitude is the richness of self. I never said, I want to be alone. I only said, I want to be left alone. There is all the difference. If you wanted to do something absolutely honest, something true, it always turned out to be a thing that had to be done alone. The eternal quest of human beings is to shatter his loneliness. The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. Solitude is often the best company, and a clear conscience the best companion. It takes nothing to join the crowd. It takes everything to stand alone. I am not alone because loneliness is always with me. I live in that solitude which is painful in youth, but delicious in the years of maturity. Sometimes life is too hard to be alone, and sometimes life is too good to be alone. I don't want to be alone. I want to be left alone. The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. Loneliness and the feeling of being unwanted is the most terrible poverty. I like being alone. I have control over my own shit. Therefore, in order to win me over, your presence has to feel better than my solitude. Loneliness is and always has been the central and inevitable experience of every man. Sometimes you need to be alone in order to reflect on life and enjoy your own company. I never said, I want to be alone. I only said, I want to be left alone. There is all the difference. If you wanted to do something absolutely honest, something true, it always turned out to be a thing that had to be done alone. The eternal quest of human beings is to shatter his loneliness. The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. It takes nothing to join the crowd. It takes everything to stand alone. I live in that solitude which is painful in youth, but delicious in the years of maturity. Sometimes life is too hard to be alone, and sometimes life is too good to be alone. There is a solitude which each and every one of us has always carried within him, more inaccessible than the ice-cold mountains, more profound than the midnight sea. The solitude of self. The more I know of the world, the more I am convinced that I shall never see a man whom I can really love. I require so much. I am not to be born to equal my own mother, her merit, the nicest sense of propriety, the purest integrity. I wish, as well as everybody else, to be perfectly happy. But, like everybody else, it must be in my own way. I never said, I want to be alone. I only said, I want to be left alone. There is all the difference. I live like a nun, and I have a nun's feeling. I am not interested in living a frivolous life. There are many things in your heart you can never tell to another person. They are your private joys and sorrows, and you can never tell them. You cheapen yourself, the inside of yourself, when you tell them. The story of my life is about back entrances, side doors, secret elevators, and other ways of getting in and out of places, so that people won't bother me. There is no one who would have me. I can't cook. The capacity for hope is the most significant fact of life. It provides human beings with a sense of destination and the energy to get started. Wisdom consists of the anticipation of consequences. The tragedy of life is not death, but what we let die inside of us while we live. People are never more insecure than when they become obsessed with their fears at the expense of their dreams. The greatest force in the human body is the natural drive of the body to heal itself. Death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside us while we live. The human body experiences a powerful gravitational pull in the direction of hope. That is why the patient's hopes are the physician's secret weapon. They are the hidden ingredients in any prescription. Hearty laughter is a good way to jog internally without having to go outdoors. The human brain must continue to frame the problems for the electronic machine to solve. You don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. If you can't win, you can at least let the other fellow know you've been there. Sometimes a person has to go a very long distance out of his way to come back a short distance correctly. I wouldn't encourage them if I didn't feel sorry for them. They're my people, after all. When you're young, you have no past, and when you're old, you have nothing to look forward to. There's no damn business like show business you have to smile to keep from throwing up. It's not enough to succeed, is it, gentlemen? One must also be a prima donna or nothing. What I want and what I fear are the same thing. It's the law of averages. As you get older, it evens out. So you have the law of averages to be thankful for. You can't make homes out of human beings. Someone should have already told you that. You are a horse running alone and he tries to tame you, compares you to an impossible highway to a burning house, says you are blinding him, that he could never leave you, forget you, want anything but you. You can't see it but you know it's there, so don't kid yourself. Later that night I held an atlas in my lap, ran my fingers across the whole world, and whispered, "Where does it hurt?" It answered, "Everywhere, everywhere, everywhere." I have my mother's mouth and my father's eyes on my face. They are still together. You can't write a script in your mind and then force yourself to follow it. You have to let yourself be. I tried to change, closed my mouth more, tried to be softer, prettier, less awake, fasted for 60 days, wore white, abstained from mirrors, abstained from sex, slowly did not speak another word. The reality is, when people disappear, they become an idea. I've learned to only love things in moderation, to reserve a part of myself that's disconnected. I will tell you about selfish people. Even when they know they will hurt you, they walk into your life to taste you, because you are the type of being they don't want to miss out on. You are terrifying and strange and beautiful, something not everyone knows how to love. You can't make homes out of human beings. Someone should have already told you that, and if he wants to leave, then let him leave. You left and I wanted you still, yet I deserved someone who was willing to stay. I want to love you like the ocean loves the shore, constantly receding and returning, always a force, yet soft enough to caress. The thing you are most afraid to write that. If you want to know how clever someone is, ask them how they relax. Give your daughters difficult names. Give your daughters names that command the full use of the tongue. No one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. What is the point of you saving yourself for someone who won't even remember your name? If you must look back, do so forgivingly. If you must look forward, do so prayerfully. However, the wisest thing you can do is to be present in the present, gratefully.